Orphans LLC presents The 13 Orphans. Digger, all curling and crawling and oozing and falling. Chapter 1, Covered in Bugs. At home in the dark and dreary earth, to Digger was part of the particular worth of greeting each precious bug that he found as he dug. Deeper and deeper the more they did creep there, all slimy and slippery the bugs crawled about, on his eyes and his face and into his clothes, and often right straight up into his nose. But Digger was a sort who would always report that he loved all these crawling bugs, and their grimiest hugs, and their slimiest shrugs. All curling and crawling and oozing and falling, straight into his mouth and onto his tongue, and they were calling, until Digger did decide to open so extremely wide, and that is how he found they leave a taste quite profound and sweet, a really extreme protein treat. But Digger never swallowed, he kept his jaw so hollowed, and allowed them to visit and then to leave. Yes, I guess this is somewhat hard to believe, but when you like bugs, it is kind of strange, the visits and meetings that you might arrange, completely covered with all sorts of bugs, slimy and slippery, and really quite quickly, bugs and more bugs each time that he dug. And the deeper he went, the more the bugs knew that Digger was their favorite, but this was nothing new. For Digger loved each and every single one, and all the bugs had such a strange idea to overcome. They thought Digger was some sort of giant bug, and perhaps something in a family of slugs. It should have made Digger delirious, but really he wanted to cheer all this, since he did like them more than he really should, more than the slimiest bugs even would, and that is exactly how the situation stood. So Digger was always deeper, and sometimes he did even sleep there, watching the sky from deep underneath where, with just his eyes at the surface, he would just stare, and if he stayed long, orphan friends passed by there. So he just listened to them talk, but didn't say hi, just too covered over to even want to blink an eye. And then he stayed there through the dark, cold night, Digger's eyes all aglow, searching for what he thought was right, not wrong. And he did this all night long, for he loved the dark sky and searched very far, until he had counted every single star. And he watched, and he watched, and he watched some more. But with the night he heard a crackling, and he was quite wary, since in the dark of night everything can be so very scary. And suddenly out of the gloom and the doom, Prickly Pear arrived with the moon. And he snatched and swallowed a giant bug with his porcupine paw, leaving Digger's eyes round and shocked by this that he saw. But then, when Prickly Pear shivered, all his quills also quivered, and it made the most beautiful chiming sound, more beautiful than anything that Digger had ever heard or found. And Prickly Pear just kept quivering. It seemed he did like shivering, and the sound wafted through the damp night air to the ears of all the orphans in the orphanage there, and even Mrs. Pickett heard it in her violent dreams, and for an instant was not as angry as she always seems. That was the magic of Prickly Pear's quills, a soothing sound that made everyone still.